Hi guys, welcome. Who dat? I'm Joe, and I'm going to bring you the updated roster for our beloved, bless you boys, in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints, as we enter the mandatory minicamp in the 2023 offseason. So we have 90 players right now, and before I pull up the offense and the defense and show you our roster, I'll let you know that during mandatory minicamp, there will be additional players who may show up for a tryout. These are usually veterans who have been in free agency, who aren't highly sought after, and who are just looking to extend their career or pick up a spot on a team late in their career, or, people that just no one knows much about. So I'll show you the players we have now, but this can change over the course of this week. And I will do a follow-up video if any changes happen. So let's pull up the offense first. All right, guys, there are your offensive players entering mandatory minicamp. The biggest change between this and the start of OTAs is we have added another fullback in running back Jake Vargas. And we have also added a veteran tight end, 8-year veteran Jesse James. That's right, the man that spent half his career with Pittsburgh. No one has heard much from him in the last 4 years. Well, I think he's been with 4 different teams in the last 4 years. Last year, he was injured and missed almost all of the season. He's 6'7", huge. And he did show signs of potential early in his career. It's kind of been sidetracked now. This is a guy who can run block pretty good, and he's a massive body out in routes. So we'll see if he has what it takes to make the team. We are pretty deep at tight end now. I've put Taysom Hill at the bottom of this list. Taysom Hill is definitely going to be on this team, and he's probably going to be allocated as a tight end, even though we know that he will take the majority of his snaps from the quarterback position as a running back. Personally, I think Taysom Hill should spend his time in the running back room and learn how to be the best running back he can be. But if he's another pass-catching option at tight end, that's fine. His blocking seems to be pretty good, and I guess you can really mess with a opposing defense if you have a guy like Taysom Hill out there to start it in line and then to split out, to do some motion. I mean, we didn't do a lot of motion or play action last year on this offense. And with players like Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara and now Rashid Shaheed, I think we could really expose a good defense if we utilize more play action and motion. I think even the best defenses would have a hard time keeping up with Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, and Rashid Shaheed moving around on the same play. That's the way I look at it. Now, we finished. We went into OTAs with only 89 players, and then we made this move before OTAs ended. So we picked up Jake Vargas, we picked up Jesse James, and we had to make a move to facilitate that. We had to release one player, and what we did was we released kicker Alex Quavido. He's been with the team all offseason. We have Blake Groupie from the undrafted rookie from Notre Dame, who's competing with Will Lutz at kicker right now. We didn't need 3 kickers, and so Alex is gone. And now we have 90 players, so that's your offense for our black and gold boys. Let's look at the defense, and it hasn't changed since the start of OTAs. There has been a lot of buzz surrounding Jordan Howden, the 5th-round draft pick this year. Apparently, he's looking pretty good. We've been playing Alontae Taylor in the slot at nickel a lot. We feel like his skill meets that pretty good, but he's such a good player on the outside. But we're not quite sure how it's all going to shape up. Personally, I think if we're going to have 2 cornerbacks out there, keep them on the outside, and then when you need to go to nickel, slide them inside, and then you can throw Paulson Adebo out there. Adebo is not as good on the outside as Taylor, but Adebo doesn't project to be nearly as good as Taylor on the inside. So that's where the quandary comes in. If you want your 3 best cornerbacks out there, then I think you have to find a spot for Paulson Adebo, and I think on the outside is his best spot. Bradley Roby, who is our 4th cornerback, plays pretty good on the outside, and he was really good on the inside last year. So there is a possibility that our top 3 ends up excluding Paulson Adebo, which would be wild. But I'm focused more on safety at this point. Jordan Howden making moves in the OTAs. JT Gray, who showed up at position duty at safety last year, pretty good. Finished the year with 2.5 sacks. He had to play a bunch. And of course, he's a special teams captain, special teams ace. So I'm assuming that's going to be our main 2 backup safeties. But we've got a lot of veterans back there, and they're fighting for this spot. Also in OTAs, I'd like to mention linebacker DeMarcus Jackson. DeMarco Jackson. He's been playing in the middle and at will. It looks as though Jackson is going to be the primary backup middle linebacker to Demario Davis. And Zach Bond hasn't been looking very good in pass coverage. He hasn't his whole career. Now, we're going to see how minicamp and eventually training camp work out, but I'm assuming Jackson, who's a better athlete, better side-to-side linebacker, is going to have that spot. I also have faith in Andrew Dowell, who's a backup. I don't know where Chase Hansen is in the league right now, but I'm a fan of Chase Hansen. It wouldn't surprise me to bring him back. And then we've got all these other players at linebacker that are going to be competing. But right now it looks like our top 5 are going to include Jackson and Bourne. We need one more spot. Dowell, probably. But let's see what Nick Anderson can do. He's been short in the OTAs. He's had a hard time covering people. Got burnt by tight ends a few times because of his size, because of his lack of ability in pass coverage. So linebacker's interesting for me. I have these players listed in the best way I feel possible. And if you argue with any of these positions, well, none of it's going to count until the first game of the season. That is your black and gold defense. Now I'm pulling up both of them right here, and you count all of these players and include the special teamers. We have 90. Special teamers include kicker Blake Groupie, who has looked really good. Problem is he's very small. 5'7", 160 pounds. I got 40 pounds on this dude. But he's a kicker, and he's nailed some 50-yarders in OTAs. But, the press doesn't get to see all of the practices. They've only seen like 3 in the 3 weeks they've held OTAs. And Will Lutz has looked really good on days when the press hasn't been there. So I'm not counting Will Lutz out yet at kicker. At punter, we're looking at Blake Gillikin, who is all-pro talent, just had a bad year last year, going up against the highly tatted and highly touted Lou Headley. I don't think Gillikin loses this job, but if he does, then that means Headley's playing great because Gillikin's a good punter. And, of course, our long snapper, Zach Wood, So that makes 5 special teamers added with our offense and defense. You got your 90 players. There you go. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10. For more videos like this, I will do a roster update after the mandatory minicamp is completed. And until then, who dat?